too. See? She knows how to make me smile. Do you remember last week's? It has started. All right. Today's discussion on nature, personal reality will be on Chapter 5, Session 626. We are going to pick up on page 98. The last sentence we read from last week was underlined by Seth's dictation on purpose, so we'll reread that. However, what I need is a repeat of the sentence of only 5 words that we needed to remember from last week. Okay. And these 5 words are essential. They should be taught, well, I don't like to use the word should. They could be taught in every grade level and studied in depth to help us change the world. And that is, my body mirrors my beliefs. And if we had a better understanding of how that actually works, then what we would learn is that we create our own reality and that our thoughts are instrumental in manifesting into physical reality through events, objects, and of course the living art of our body, our beliefs. Now, as far as all the details that go with that, that's for us to learn over our lifetimes, and that's why we're here. So we'll pick up on page 98. I'll get a new piece of paper. You guys are ahead of me on that. We'll have an opening prayer and get started on that. Dear Lord, thank you. Thank you for the time for us to gather, to study this information, to learn the essential lessons that we need in order to understand the feedback system of reality that we live in. As we're getting more and more to the essentials and the core of what is going on, it will become more clear, and we thank you for that. As the confusion turns into clarity, we move from fear to clarity, because we fear the unknown, and as we have a clarified ability to see better, then our fears can dissipate. We thank you for this and all the lessons that we learn over our lifetimes. In the name of Jesus, amen. And that is harm-free. All right. I outlined one of the major stages that we go through, and it doesn't really ever end. We go through many changes every day, and anytime you experience something that to a certain extent is unknown, you have a choice to basically either embrace it as exciting or fearful. And your body has a hormonal reaction to this. It's simply your thoughts that choose how you react. And that's why we all have challenges. However, how we react to our challenges is part of, again, the learning system as we learn how all this works. All right, to repeat, Nature, Personal Reality, Chapter 5, Session 626, page 98. And I'm going to read from the sentence that is critical. I have never used that word in these sessions from last week. Well, you look at the underlined sentence and follow along with me. It's down at the bottom, last paragraph. It starts off with the word that, and it says, that is one of the body's primary functions. I'm going to stop for a minute. We learn all about anatomy and physiology and the body's primary functions, don't we? However, they left this out. Okay? And that's because basically, I'm sorry to say, science doesn't incorporate consciousness into any of its work. Okay? It will, over time, as consciousness is wedded with science and we begin to understand that truly any observation we make changes reality, which it's very simple to move from that to understanding that thoughts create reality. Back in the 1930s, quantum mechanics, they found out that any observation that they made collapsed the wave function, and therefore observation changes reality. They realized that. They know that basically one of the explanations of reality is that it's a bunch of probabilities, an observation being made collapses the wave function, and then you have a measurement. It's the same thing. We're doing it all the time. So therefore, one of the body's primary functions is what? Okay, and that goes to last week's, that my body mirrors my beliefs. This is what I'm talking about. These are basics that need to be understood. The unfortunate part is a lot of times we wait till we get sick and then we go, oh my God, why? What can I do? What do I need to do to fix myself? Okay, and I'm the same way. I'm not any different than any of us. Okay, the only difference is I've chosen to focus on this material and try to pass it on because I know it's essential to learn while we're healthy. The more healthy we are, the better we have in terms of energy and skills to be able to incorporate this material and choose better ways of living. And we're going to learn this week why our body mirrors our beliefs even when it's in illness, because we want to be healthy. We don't want to go through, quote, unfortunate circumstances, but we're going to find out why that is. The second sentence says, a sick body is performing that function then in its way as well as a healthy one. Okay, and that's the key. See, truly, we really mentally would rather be healthy than sick. Alright? And I know I'm making imperative statements, but as a teacher, a lot of times I have to sort of talk in generalities, and I assume that the students and the people listening can understand that as you get more specific, you'll be able to understand this more clearly. The next sentence, and we're going to go on, it is your most intimate feedback system. Okay, there it is. It, the body, is our most intimate feedback system. Changing with your thought and experience, giving you in flesh the physical counterpart of your thought. Alright, so we are truly blessed, alright, and that is this. I think one thing, it's manifested in various forms. Alright, it can manifest in a probable reality that we don't experience here and maybe have some contact with through our dreams. It can manifest in this physical reality, alright? And if it manifests in the physical reality, then we see it either as an event or an object, okay? That's your choice, either matter or an event. An event is a psychological structure that we build. I mean, the most common one that we think of is like parties and stuff, you know. That's an event. An object, of course, is anything with matter. That's our feedback system. It does get complex. As we well know, something as simple as a pencil requires hundreds of different functions of volunteering and changes and lifestyles and work in order to create a pencil. So, of course, creating a pen is the same thing. All of these creations around us require intense cooperation, which is another aspect of reality. This is a highly cooperative world. Very little competition, even though that's how it's presented. Highly cooperative world. Alright, the next sentence. So, here it is. Pay attention. It is futile to become angry at a symptom, or to deride the body for its condition when it is presenting you with the corporal replica of your own thought as it was meant to do. Alright? Now, I can't personally say I've ever gotten angry at my body for being the way it is. However, I certainly get various forms of wishing it was something else. But I'm not like everybody else. Some people are going to just be mad at yourself that you got a certain way. Okay? We get this way for a very specific reason. The body reflects our thoughts and does the best it can automatically to replicate and manifest our thoughts. Our body is living art. We think certain things. It does the best it can to manifest what we're thinking. Look, it says, your environment and your experience in the physical world also provide you with the same kind of feedback. It is just as useless to berate your environment or your experience in it as it is to deride your body for the same reasons. So basically, what Seth has just said is get over it. Alright? But whenever we hear those sort of sarcastic, cynical remarks, nobody explains in detail what it means. Or they say, it is what it is. Because you know what? People don't know what they're talking about. Here is the explanation right here. It is what it is because we are creating it. It is what it is because we are creating it. Get over it because we are creating it. We have to get to the next level, which we understand we are affecting our events. We are affecting our body. We affect the world. We are not useless. We are not powerless. We are very powerful. So powerful we don't even begin to understand it. It says, it often seems when such ideas as these are presented that the ideal results, in your terms, would be perfection, quote, heaven on earth, unquote, a state in which everyone would be healthy, wealthy, and wise. All right? That's sort of like going from A to Z as far as the thinking. There's a little bit of a paragraph there, and then he says, you are, however, in physical existence, using your body as a medium for learning and expression. You are each unique. Alright? Does everybody hear me? You are all unique already. We don't have to draw attention to ourselves so that people notice us in certain ways. We are already all unique. If we understood some of this basic information, we could move to the sort of a better level of being. Many of you, for your own reasons, pursue courses that do not involve an even development of abilities or an overall balanced picture, for example, but choose to express and experiment with certain qualities to the exclusion of others. And such a course would not, in physical reality, present you with anything like a balanced picture of perfection. So what he did was he explained why it doesn't go automatically when you understand these ideas to a perfect, healthy, wealthy, and wise situation. We choose, as he will say later on in the book, certain, shall we say, larger challenges to take on to learn in more detail certain aspects, and sometimes focus on those in order to learn more in depth about them. And I will even go to the deepest level and say, if everything was completely symmetrical and perfect, it would be static and there would be no movement, no action, and nothing would have created. God would have never been able to solve the problem and create what has happened. It requires imperfection. It requires things to not be symmetrical. It requires to be unbalanced in order to go from action to rest, a constant change over and over and over. Later in the book we will discuss other kinds of existence in which you are also involved, and These, to some extent, color your intents and purposes in physical life as you now understand it. Alright, and this is where we're going with tonight's session. If all of your beliefs, not just your fortunate ones, were not materialized, you would never thoroughly understand on a physical level that your ideas create reality. If only your positive beliefs were materialized, then you would never clearly comprehend the power of your thought, for you would not completely experience its physical results. In other words, our thoughts take on a life of their own. They want to be materialized, whether they're, quote, negative or positive, and that's why we have, quote, unfortunate events, or what we call illness. And this is necessary so that we can see the feedback system. If only the ones that were positive materialized, then we would be able to think whatever we want, and only the positive ones would go through and be materialized, and we'd never quite understand that truly what we think matters. We're here to learn that, okay? I know it's always sort of bothered people when they read the Bible, and there's certain aspects about it that basically boil down that what you think matters, you know, and people go, well, I can't control my thinking. I mean, I think all kinds of stuff, you know, on and on and on and on, and they come up with quick excuses. Well, then that's where we are in our development. Nobody says that we're very far along yet. However, we're here to learn, at least to monitor our thinking and know what we're thinking, so that we can understand that the results that we are reaping what we are sowing. Alright? The conscious mind exists before material life and after it. Alright? That sentence alone, to me, is just absolutely phenomenal. It's just a statement of fact as far as he's concerned. The conscious mind exists before material life and after it. In corporal existence, it is intertwined with the brain, and during physical life, your earthly perceptions, your precise and steady focus within your particular space and time system are dependent upon that fine alliance. Before physical birth, then, you form a mental concept of your body that you will have. This image is impressed into matter in this way. You tune yourself in to a highly specific dimension of reality. Within those two sentences, he answered an age-old question. I mean, how could this work? How can you before life? Is it fate or not? Well, he tells you right here. He says, before physical birth, then you form a mental concept of the body you will have. This image is impressed into physical matter or into matter in this way. And then he gives you the answer of this way. Look, you tune yourself into a highly specific dimension of reality. That's how it's done. You form a physical structure that will have existence within that intensely concentrated area, that will have validity and actuality, that will come alive, underline, within those, quote, frequencies, unquote. Now, we've all sort of made ourselves move along and along and along and talked about vibes and sort of know about electromagnetic and think that there's something to do with frequencies, and it's apparently this is the best way for us to understand it at this point. It does. Now we'll stop here, and today's date would be 4/4/2012, and truly the information we just covered is huge. We're going to have to figure out what we're going to do with all that. if we can break it down into a few words to help us remember it. Now, taking into account last week's was my body mirrors my beliefs, we don't have to repeat that. So what was it that I stopped and said was one of the important things that we have to understand? All right?
If all your beliefs, not just your fortunate ones, were not materialized, you would never thoroughly understand on a physical level that your ideas create reality.
Right. And then he turned it around and said it in a more positive way. If only your positive beliefs were materialized, then you would never clearly comprehend the power of your thought. So, look, the whole idea here is to clearly comprehend the power of your thought. And then the next two paragraphs we're probably going to have to repeat for next week, because he explains how this whole physical mechanism occurs. It's fascinating. It's unbelievable, truly. I mean, I believe it. It's just, again, this is where religion comes in, as far as having to have faith in beliefs that you cannot prove. You know, that's what faith is. What we call faith, it's a belief in a positive outcome with no physical evidence or something.
Regardless of the circumstances.
Regardless of the circumstances. So, in this case, how can you know what happens before birth or after it? What is the answer? Does anybody know? You have to tap into your own answers within you, since we are alive before and after birth. Just that belief alone can open up a whole nother door within you, you see. This all has to do with beliefs. It's amazing how one belief can open up another belief, can open up another belief, can open another belief. So I need a little bit of help here.
How about clearly comprehend the power of your thought?
Okay, clearly comprehend the power of your thought. I clearly comprehend, and I sort of want to change that word, the power of my thought. I clearly understand. Most people get the word understand, right? I clearly understand the power of my thought. Does that sound okay with you, Madison? Okay, tonight says, I clearly understand the power of my thought.